on Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we're talking about the minimalist lifestyle. Are you overwhelmed during the holidays and wish you could do less? Have you wondered what a minimalist lifestyle is all about? Would you like to get rid of excess stuff and enjoy experiences more? Learn how to live life fully with less as we continue our month focusing on the holidays.
Do you control your clutter, or does your clutter control you? On Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we'll teach you awareness as well as action steps to create change in your life. Come on, let's get started.
Today's episode was inspired simply by the holidays. The holidays can be overwhelming. This is when we tend to get a lot of physical stuff. And it got me thinking about less being more. And I thought, hey, why don't we do an episode? I'd had on my ongoing list to talk about the minimalist lifestyle, and it just seemed really a good time to share that. I know that when people talk about minimalism, it's usually focused on material items when you read about it, but I, of course, am going to explore other areas because you know that I'm passionate about supporting you in clearing clutter in all areas of your life. First, I looked up the definition and I learned something, so I was kind of excited about that. I wish I had more time because I want to delve into this because it was something I didn't know. But the definition is a person who advocates or practices minimalism in art or music. I have zero clue what that means. I don't know. Does that mean on a canvas you just use one or two colors of paint? In music, meaning you only use a few notes as opposed to a bunch? No clue. So it's on my list to Google that sometime. Or a person advocating minor or moderate reform in politics. That again is something that I found really interesting. Is that more of a libertarian kind of let people live as they wish, as long as you're not really doing anything to anyone else? So if you know about that and want to shoot me an email, I'd love to learn more, or I'll get to it at some point at Google. But just doing that, I thought that was pretty interesting and I wanted to pass that along. So what is a minimalist lifestyle? My summary is pretty basic: living with less. Now, when we live with less physical stuff, that also comes with a smaller financial burden, right? That's pretty amazing. That's pretty awesome. We can do less with other areas of our life, such as social media. Who's with me on this one? I have been spending less time. I have been reading a lot more. I am going through and I don't know how to pronounce her name, Jodi Picoult. She's a contemporary writer, and as far as I'm concerned, she's the best living American contemporary writer because she's amazing how she is able to develop these characters and represent someone who isn't who she is. Because, you know, they always talk about write about what you know. Writing the books are about clutter. I know about clutter. I wrote what I know. It would be like me trying to write about economics or something. Anyway, she's fabulous. If you haven't read any of her books, I encourage you to check it out. Benefits. So if you are taking on a minimalist lifestyle, what are some of the things that you get from that? You obviously reduce your impact on the earth. You're more green, you're more eco-friendly. These challenges are going to be coming home to roost more. It's easier to not think about plastic when you put it in your recycling bin and imagine that it's being recycled, but now countries are saying, no, we're not going to take on America's trash. We're not going to take on America's recycling. So these are issues that are going to be more relevant to most of us. So when you reduce your impact on Earth, you're making a difference. It reduces your finances and allows you to be more independent. If you're not in debt, if you aren't spending all this money, you can retire early. As we've downsized, it's a freeing feeling. And we are going through another round I've been incredibly lazy with this, but we are going through another round of selling stuff. We sold stuff and had garage sales, and what we didn't sell, we donated, which to me is a win-win. But I'm like, we have some stuff. Let's try to get some cash for that. And so that can go to something like an experience. We did an escape room for the first time ever, and we're about to do one for our anniversary. If you haven't done it, highly recommend it. Now, they're independent, but the one we went to was just amazing. I was blown away that someone was able to be that creative. Reducing your financial burden. And how many of you listening are stressed by credit card debt? Less cleaning and maintenance of stuff. I'm the one who's dusting our home. I've gotten Tony on board with helping me clean, but the less stuff we have, the less time and effort that takes. I don't know about you, but there are all these books I want to read. I am happy just hanging out with the cats. I'm happy just being in nature. When I don't have to focus on that, I can focus on more experiences, which leads me into you get to enjoy more experiences instead of stuff. The older I get, the more I cherish the small things. And, I've read that quoted, in the end, it's really the small things that mattered or something like that. But one of the things I love about fall, Tony now works a 4-10, so he has Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. Feel like he got a lot of work karma done because we had midnight shifts. We never had weekends off. Anyway, so he's got a really nice schedule. He gets to work on Mondays, and so I get to make him dinner. But that makes me really happy. But on weekends, if it's football season, we usually on Sunday, I'll take a nap. Or hanging out, I have football. Tony doesn't watch, but he'll sit there with his iPad. And just being with the cats and talking, seeing the stars at night, watching a sunset, enjoying a hike. All of these things have made my life more joyful. They make me happy. It's amazing to me that I get excited or chuckle watching the kittens take a nap. They're just completely adorable. Obviously, with less is more. You clear your clutter and you focus on what's important. Maybe your health needs attention. You're like me and you reached a milestone birthday and thought, wow, I don't want to be a hot mess when I'm 70. Perhaps relationships are something you'd like to focus on. All these marriages end in divorce, and I think, well, if we didn't have so much stuff, we could concentrate on our partner better, right? Instead of this or trying to gain more, putting all this pressure financially to make all this money to buy stuff, that could be spent with real connection. Perhaps you want to volunteer more. When you clear your clutter, you can focus on that. Whatever it is, it allows you to be in touch with your soul. It allows you to find your passion. Peace of mind. Simply stated, when you don't have a bunch of stuff to worry about, when you're not spending all your time maintaining that stuff, it's one less thing to worry about. And usually for most of us, it's a pretty big thing that has been scratched off the list. I still feel months later exhausted from downsizing. I think it was obviously physical, but also mental, right? Because all these things to remember. I had my to-do list, get the utilities turned on, get the utilities turned off, and all this stuff and unpacking and blah, 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 blah. I have peace of mind when I have less stuff to maintain. You get more time in general, right? If you can clean your home in 1 hour instead of 2, that's an hour gain, either weekly or twice a month, however your cleaning schedule is. It allows you to have more time. It allows you to focus on creative projects, pursuing your passions. I'm really making painting a priority for me next year. I know you're like, yeah, Julie, you've been saying that. I think once we go through another downsizing cleanse, that's going to be a weight lifted, but that's something I really want to pursue. I want to put more effort into writing my creative project. When I have less to maintain, I have the time and the mental and emotional and spiritual energy to do what I'm excited about. How do you create a more minimalist lifestyle? Carve out your own path. I believe I've said on the podcast that I'm not a minimalist. I get street art whenever I travel. We're going to travel in a month, celebrate being 50, and I'll find some street art that I'll bring home to hang up. I have singing bowls and crystals. I do have a set of dishes to entertain. And in the minimalist lifestyle, they'd be like, wrong answer. To me, it's about decluttering your life in a way that you have become a minimalist in your view. Don't worry about what others are saying. Anytime you reduce what you have, you're having an impact, not only on your life, but on others. I'm a fan of getting to the root of things. You don't need the story so much. And if you do, fine, again, it's really what works best for you. But why are you buying things? Is it to make you feel less lonely? Maybe it's to make you feel safe. When you understand what it's really about, then you can make changes. Maybe being on social media is a way for you to feel connected. Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong. Don't spend the time in judging, but figure out, why do you have the need to collect? Why do you have the need to acquire so much? And think about all the things you'll gain when you release that. Prioritize. One of the most important things that can guide you and show you where you want to concentrate your efforts with less is more. One of the big incentives for my husband and me is we want to get our mortgage paid off. And that was a huge incentive to downsize. The garage sales, oh my gosh, those I wouldn't recommend. But we did earn some cash, or putting things up on Let Go. It was fun to get cash. Woohoo! Made me feel like a kid again. I have some cash. We're getting solar installed as a long-term investment because electricity prices keep going up, and having a minimal bill and with a 30% tax credit is going to save us money in the long run. We wanted to become minimalist in electricity, wanted to downsize, have less property tax. Downsizing our home had a huge impact on us financially, for peace of mind, all that. Because paying off our mortgage is a priority, then that dictates where we spend, or rather where we don't spend money. Putting the effort to hurry up and pay off the solar bill is a big incentive to not spend information, because, long run, if we have minimal electricity bills, that's going to be really useful.
Some people mistakenly believe that you're either born organized or you aren't. Not true. Getting organized and clearing clutter, as well as learning to be more mindful and aware, is a skill that you can learn and will support you your entire life. Julie Coraccio's online classes and online workshops are friendly and conversational. Each class also contains action items for you to implement once you've completed the class. Visit reawakenyourbrilliance.com to learn more.
Financial. Look where you can cut expenses. We do this every year. It's easier to budget if you have less items to pay for, less things to worry about. No more landline or cable bill. Can you use just one credit card or have one bank account? I keep my business separate, and it's not a possibility to have fewer bank accounts. We have business and personal. Tony also has a personal account. Maybe in 20, 25 years, we will just pull everything together and have one account. If you're like us and your goal is to pay off your mortgage, one less payment, one less thing to worry about, where can you cut your expenses? Going out to eat is a big one for people. Less is more with that. Get an Instapot. Learn how to cook if you want to try new cuisine. You can do like we did and downsize your home. Again, if having a lot less or paying off your mortgage is important, that's a big step towards that. And it's not necessarily tiny living. We aren't in a tiny home. I wish that we could get there. It's not going to happen. The main reason that's not going to happen is we have cats. We're not going to be holed up and not have them not have space. And I like being able to sit on a deck and look out at trees. But you could go from a 4,000 square foot house to a 2,000 square foot house. That's probably doable for most people, especially if you're now an empty nester. There are lots of ways you can downsize your home that don't have to mean sacrificing everything. If 4 to 2,000 square feet is minimalist in your term, then hurrah, hooray, you've done it. Experiences. Our wedding anniversary present to each other this year was adopting the cats we were fostering, Anina and Augusta, now a permanent part of our home. I was happy with that. Our other gift was an escape room. We decided, let's do that. We had a lot of fun doing that instead of buying something that's going to collect dust. What matters most to me, really, if Tony's going to get me something, is a card, because he writes something really sentimental that just makes me clutch my heart. See where you can add experiences to your life instead of more stuff. What's something fun that you'd like to try? Is there a class that you've always been interested in, or learning a new language? Clothes and shoes. This can be a challenge for a lot of women, but where could you minimize this? Consider a capsule wardrobe. That's something I'm moving towards. I have no sense of style. I don't know if I'm that bad. I'm not a fashionista. I'm not someone who has to have the latest and greatest. I've never been that way about being comfortable, about feeling good in what I own. And hopefully I'll get to there someday, but I try to purge, getting ready to do another one. I want more comfortable shoes. I'm less about heels, especially since my husband's shorter than I am. Reducing your physical stuff in general in clothes and shoes is really great, especially if you have a lot of dry cleaning. I try to get stuff that doesn't need dry cleaning. I'm going to wear it once or twice, 3 times before I get it dry cleaned, because I don't want to have to make the effort to go to the dry cleaner to pay the dry cleaning bill, blah, 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 blah. So looking at your clothes, your shoes, your jewelry, how can you minimize that? Social media. Do you have to be on everything? I like Instagram. It's a picture, usually something that I can read rather quickly. I continue to be on Facebook less. I really hope I get to the point someday that I can be off Facebook or be minimally on Facebook. Still have to do it because of business. I'm not on Snapchat. I know Reddit's something I probably, from a business perspective, need to be on. But there are about 1 billion other social media accounts and channels that I need to be on. One of the things I've done is I set up Hootsuite. I'm rarely on Twitter. I will check it maybe once a month because it's not where I want to put a lot of effort. I don't want to add any more social media accounts. We've got YouTube, we've got the podcast, we've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Something else I'm forgetting. I want to do less is more, and I really want to leave Twitter. I hopefully maybe next year I'll be brave enough to do that. I still feel like I need to be on it. I'm trying to reduce the time I spend on social media. And if I do, that it's promoting the online auction we're doing to raise funds for the cats and dogs. I don't want to waste time reading comments and getting upset and cranky. So how can you become a minimalist in social media? Just have to say I'm really proud of myself. Minimalist is not an easy word. And as I was writing this, I kept kind of stumbling over it. So bravo me. Relationships. What are quality relationships to you? What does that mean? I'm about quality over quantity. Now, you might be a natural butterfly, and you are someone that can become friends with everyone in the room. And that's great. If that's you, do you. But are they truly deep, passionate relationships? Is that something you long for? I've never been someone who was popular or had a ton of friends, but the people in my life are important to me. I hold them close, I hold them dear because they mean the world to me. I have, as I've gotten older, I've let go of friendships. I had someone, I was sharing this the other day with someone when I got engaged. The only negative comment, and someone posted when I shared that I got engaged, we got engaged rather quickly, and someone saw that as a negative and thought that, posting that publicly was the best way to respond. No longer friends with them. They finally, I think, got the message. They kept reaching out to me and wanting to get together. Luckily, we're not in the same town, but it's like, I don't have time for that. I have unfollowed some people who haven't been kind to me. I'm just like, I don't want it. I don't want it in my energy. I don't want it in my field. It's a fake relationship anyway. Why am I cluttering up my energy and my time with that? How can you do with less is more for your emotions? Now, I want to be really clear. I'm not saying or asking you to minimize your problem here. But I say this because I think of a person I met in the neighborhood where we just moved. Super critical of everything. She insulted me. I was like amazed at how you could find so much to insult and be critical of. She could certainly do less with criticism of others. So what I ask you to explore, if you're angry or sad all the time, how can you have less of that? If you're frustrated or overwhelmed, what steps can you take to create peace of mind? Maybe you need to see a therapist, a coach, a professional to figure out what's going on. There's no shame in your game if you have to do that. But if you're judgmental all the time, if you're critical all the time, how can we do with less of that? Health. You might be going, but think about it. Do you need all the fancy equipment? Do you need the special shoes? Or do you need 5 different pairs of shoes for the gym? Or do you need the pre-workout powder mix, which the guy at our gym told my husband that's bad stuff? And I can't remember why he said that was, but if you that pre-mix, the equipment, the shoes, all that stuff, can you do with less and more that area? Get out and take a hike. You have a pair of sneakers, you don't need fancy hiking boots, or walking around your neighborhood, or hugging a tree, or looking at the stars at night for your mental health. You can do push-ups in your home. You can do sit-ups in your home. Squats, you have to be careful if I know someone that harmed their counter. A lot of the times we don't need this and that, and there's an area where you can minimalize. Where in your health can you let some stuff go? Mental. What worry can you release? I mean, would we all like to have less worry in our lives? And if you are watching mainstream media news, please consider finding an alternative. Please turn it off. If you need to know something, you will find out on social media, or someone's going to text you or call you. That's my least concerns. We are getting ready. I am having someone is building next to us, so I'm getting these podcasts recorded because it's going to be at least, I pray it's less, I don't know when, I've asked them to tell me, but at least 2 months of banging and removing trees and building, and I hope I don't go insane. But I thought, I've got to get this recorded now. I can't record. My office is at the front of the house, and can you tell I'm worrying about this? I need to worry about this less. So one of the steps I'm taking is recording the podcast now. I can drive me nuts, but I can write, I can edit when people are banging away. But what worry can you release? Where can you have less of that? My father calls it borrowing trouble. What can you do to start to have more peace of mind? Less is definitely more here. And spiritual. What drives you? Moves you? I knew a woman who had many passions, but never really stuck to one, and has a bunch of projects that haven't gone anywhere. I've really figured out, for me, writing is super important to me. and it feeds my creative soul. The podcast does too, but writing is a large part of the podcast. I do notes now. I don't write everything out. I try to write ideas and then do off the cuff and be very present and be in the moment. And when I'm recording an episode, I kind of do a little checking in with my sovereign self, my higher self, and okay, please use me. What do people need to hear? What's most important to this episode? Maybe a certain person needs to hear something phrased specifically so they have that aha moment. So focusing, getting in tune with your soul. And, I know people who can make a career out of trying the latest and greatest spiritual classes or offering or teachers. Where can you minimalize in that? Can you meditate every day instead of having to have 5 different apps to relax? Can you read a book and maybe spend 6 months on it and really absorb it and understand the teachings and understand the lesson and incorporate that into your life instead of trying to read every book out there? What else would you add to this list? Take actions from today's podcast. Define what a minimalist lifestyle means to you. Write down all areas in your life where you'd like to live with less. Downsize in your prioritized areas. Practice living a minimalist lifestyle. On our next episode, we're talking about where you're putting your energy. Go out, clear your clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire.
When you clear your clutter, you can share your gifts with the world. Sign up for our free newsletter at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. If you've enjoyed Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, please rate, review, and share us.